The spokesperson will be allotted 6 minutes. The public session will be limited to 30 minutes. The council will only listen and not respond, but may decide to place a topic on a future agenda.
Thank you, Councilman Lane. This time I will open up for public comment. And being none, sorry I had you read all of that.
Good.
But we'll close the public comment for that point. Okay, council, next up is adjustments to the agenda. Are there any adjustments to the agenda that council would like to make?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to take one item off the consent agenda, and that would be an adjustment to the agenda.
Okay. Okay, which item would you like to take off, council?
B, as in boy.
B, okay. Okay, so we'll take off B. Would you like to discuss that tonight?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we will put that in number 2, if that's okay with council. And the reason I'm doing that, we were going to introduce a new employee, and I understand he had something come up at the last minute, so he couldn't be here. So any other adjustments to the agenda? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we make that adjustment to the agenda.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 3-0. Thank you, council. All right, so next up is the consent agenda. Consent agenda is the first order of business. These items are believed to be non-controversial and administrative in nature. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the council requests, citizen requests granted permission to speak. These items will then be removed from the council agenda, considered individually, otherwise all will be enacted as one motion. So that is on the consent agenda. Is there anything you'd want to take off consent agenda? Which that's what we just took off. It's on the consent agenda.
1B.
So it'll be, yes, okay, and that's 1B. All right. So that's approval of minutes and everything like that. So we've already did a motion and a second. Okay, so next we will move on to item number 2, which is was introduction of new employee, which was going to be Nicholas Ewell.
Can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
I move we accept the consent agenda.
Okay,
Second.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. So we'll discuss item number B, which is consideration of approval of amendment of audit contract. And I think Ms. O'Brien would have this.
Do you need my questions first? Sure. I was wondering, is this related to a problem we had or they had? Okay. I don't quite understand. I mean, it's 4 months behind. I don't really understand that. I'm concerned about it and how it would, how it would affect our LGC status.
That I don't know, because we were late last year due to auditor staff workload. It's later this year than it was last year. And I had everything to them at the end of September.
Is there anything at all that can be done about that?
We're going to ask y'all to bid it again.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
That's what we're.
but we need to get this one done first before we can bid out for the next one.
Well, I'm a little bit unhappy about that. I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but I'm pretty unhappy, and you can relay that.
Staff is too.
Excuse me?
Staff is as well.
Staff is too. Okay.
It's the second time.
I had big questions on this one as well, and she asked those. I mean, is there a way to include in maybe future contracts that if they're late, they don't receive as much compensation or something along those lines?
You can
I
negotiate
would like,
that, yeah.
that's a
Okay.
good
Sure.
idea.
You can negotiate that.
Yeah, because, we're paying them, a pretty penny for the service, and if they're this late, then, there should certainly be
Susan has
penalties.
proof of getting them all the information they requested.
Yeah, this is the second time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there another company that we could potentially go with to fulfill these?
For the next one, we.
Not for this one.
We still got to finalize this one, but yes.
You bid it out, tell them.
Okay. So, do you want to make a motion on this, Jane?
Well, I guess we have to, don't we? I reluctantly, I do it with reluctance, but I'll make a motion that we approve the amended audit contract, but I would like to also add that maybe our attorney send a letter to them saying that we're very disappointed that this is 4 months late, and that's not what we
Yeah.
bargained for.
That's exactly right. Okay, so Jane made a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. Moving right along here. We are on, item number 3, which is Rotary Club, King Rotary Club, and, I'm the one that put this, request on our agenda for tonight, and I'll ask, Ms. Sue Jarvis to come forward and speak on this, please.
Thank you for having us. I'm here with Donna Boyles, another member of the Rotary Club, and we have a simple request. We think it's simple and we think it's good. We're coming asking for your permission to place a granite bench on the grounds of King Public Library in memory of Linda Lane. Linda Kimbrough Lane was a longtime resident of Stokes County and King. She was an educator, retiring with over 30 years of teaching experience, and she was a businesswoman. After she retired from teaching, she created Linda Lane Realty and operated that for a number of years. Linda loved this area. She loved students. She was a woman who lived, in my opinion, with exuberance and optimism. She was always about, how do we make Stokes County better? How do we make King better? She was in Rotary for a number of years. She was the president of the Rotary Club for 1 year. She was also president of the board of King Chamber of Commerce. So what we're asking is to place this granite bench that has her name on it on the grounds of the library, and we've spoken to Gretchen, there she is, about where would be a good place. We haven't quite decided that, but we think the library would be good because of Linda's interest in education and also because of the visibility of the bench. It would be a wonderful place for kids to sit, adults to sit, and remember Linda. You might remember we had a bench placed in the square of downtown King, and I was never quite sure what happened to that bench, except I think an out-of-control automobile hit it and destroyed it. We thought it was beautiful there, but we think it will be safe and even more beautiful at the library.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, any questions?
No questions, but I have a statement. I know I'd met with Gretchen too, and she said she thought it would work great over there for students or children, somebody waiting on a parent to pick them up or something like that. And I think she'll work and have a good place for that. So
Summer reading, I can just see Linda in my mind looking at that bench saying, look at all those kids sitting on the bench. She would love it. She would have loved it.
I know every Thursday morning she would come into Rotary. I'd say, "Hey, lovely Linda." She'd say, "Hey, Rowdy Rick." She is
A
sweet
wonderful lady.
So what a way to
Yes.
honor her. So, council, I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to make a statement first. I'm
Yes, ma'am.
very excited about this. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I really appreciate the Rotary Club participating in this and adding to our community aesthetics. I think that is just wonderful. And I would make a motion that we approve this and look forward to it.
I didn't ask for statement. Would you like to add to that?
Well, we're just very thankful for the participation and glad a bench is being replaced. Unfortunately, with this one getting knocked down, but we're glad it's going in a place that'll have quite a bit of visibility and quite a bit of use, Lord willing. So,
Yes.
Yes,
thank you.
thank you.
Councilman Lane.
I did not know Miss Lane, although same name, not related. But anyone who dedicates that many years of service to education, to students, is a big deal. And anybody who loves this county and this city has a shared passion with me. So I'm very thankful that y'all are honoring her, and I'm glad to be approving this.
Amen.
Thank you.
So I had a motion by Jane. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, got 2 seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Jarvis.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for what King Rotary does also.
Yes.
Okay, council number 4 is, special events street closing ordinance 2025-01. And I think, maybe Nicole has this.
Okay, so, I have spoken with everybody on here, and, the Feed the Stokes, they have told me that they were changing that to only a 5K this year. I have, some representatives for, the Downtown King Partnership. They're here. I have their events listed on here. And then the West Oaks High School, because they have changed their conference, something with the conference, they're not able to give me a date for their West Oaks, homecoming parade. They won't know until May, so I'll have to bring that back to you. And then we should have, representatives for the King Christmas Parade. They would like to give you an update on that if, they want to come forward and speak to you guys on that.
Yes, sir.
With Larry Bridges and Michael Christmas.
So, Mayor, Council, good evening. I'm Larry Bridges, Treasurer and Co-Chair of the Christmas Parade Committee for the Lodge. Michael Christian is our master this year. And just a couple of brief reports from the Christmas Parade that was held on December 7th. It was completed without any major safety issues, which is always our major concern. We had good cooperation from the weather this year, and that was thankful. Our move, we were here a couple of months ago, our move to 1 p.m. Posed no apparent issues, so that seemed to work out okay. We received $2,655.54 in donations that went directly to King Outreach Ministry. We had a handful of entrants who showed up without their entry fee, and they committed to send a check directly there. Hopefully they got a little bit more money. The only other issue we had is initially we had chose members of the Matt Gentry family who closed Gentry Hardware to be our Grand Marshal, and they declined. We then asked Ricky and Matt Smith of Drag Race fame, and they had to back out at the last minute, so we had to substitute our master, Darrell Calloway. We did not mean to be self-serving, but he had to substitute at the last minute. But otherwise, the parade went very well.
Amen.
Michael would like to talk about this coming year.
Good evening, council staff. I want to thank y'all for allowing us to host the parade. We had a meeting in January, and we would like to humbly offer our services again for the next year. One thing we did have come up is on Kirby Road, there at the entrance where traffic's coming in. We've had a number of problems there with traffic, so we would like to request an additional officer posted there to help get people in and kind of keep them organized coming in, because we did have a lot of issues with cars pulling down into the parking lots and staying there a little bit longer than necessary, blocking up everything, and it just caused a lot of logistic issues. So, you know, we just want to offer our services again. This upcoming year, we're trying to work on kind of streamlining the process, making it more automated and easier to get registered and all of that good stuff. So that's our main concern. And I do want to point out, Brother Larry and Brother Paul Isaacson, they put in a tremendous amount of work in the parade, and I want to thank them for that. But it's such a load of work that we're trying to streamline it and down to manageable. Thank y'all again.
I'm so glad that you offered, because I'd heard about a month or so ago that y'all weren't gonna do it again.
We
And I thought,
ended up,
oh, no, what are we gonna do? 'Cause-
we ended up holding a vote in the lodge just to see what everybody's opinion was, and we did get a vote that they wanted to continue.
Fantastic. Council have any questions?
What date is it?
I don't know if we have a date set
You don't
yet.
have a date
It
set.
typically is the first Saturday in
Yeah.
December, so
Okay.
whatever that is.
Yeah.
Sixth.
December 6th.
Yeah, December 6th. Councilman Lane, you have any questions?
No, thank y'all for all you do for this. It's a great event every year.
Oh, yeah, it's great of you.
Yes,
Thank
it
you
is. Thank you.
so much.
Thank
So,
y'all for your time.
council, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the ordinance 2025-01, declaring the road closures for special events, co-sponsored by the King City Council.
Okay,
Second.
okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
I was sweating that one. I was so afraid they were gonna say they weren't gonna do it again. Okay, number 5 is zoning request by Kings Crossing property. And at this time, I will open that for public comment. And nobody signed up. I will close that portion for public comment. And council, you can see, I guess, John, you've got this one?
Yes, sir. This is a zoning action request by Kings Cross Properties LLC. This is the same one we brought up before. This is an increase in density in townhome section of Kings Crossing from 66 to 80 units. Since the last time this was brought forward, we have posted the property, mailed all the abutting property owners, mailed the owner, and advertised twice in the Stokes County News. Had no comments on it. This request is being made by Kings Cross Properties LLC to increase the townhome density from 66 to 80 units in the Plumtree Court section of Kings Crossing and further located off the 200 block of Kings Cove Way. The townhome section was originally approved for 66 units on 3.52 acres with a density of 2.87 units per acre. Kings Cross Properties is asking to increase the density to 80 units on 3.52 acres with a new density of 3.5 units per acre. The density increase will not increase the built-upon area. Section 32-247 allows for 1 to 8 dwelling units per development, and this density increase request would increase the number of dwelling units from 6 to 8, which is in line with this section's requirements. Budgetary impacts are increased inspection fees, 14 additional tap fees, and increased tax base. Staff recommends approval of the density increase from 66 to 80 units, and this was approved by the planning board. So,
Yeah, I was looking to see what the planning board had to say about this, but thank you for answering that.
and I will say, I've reached out to both Sam and Lennar to see what the difference was in the building sizes. I figured that was one of the questions the planning board had. So the original homes were 1,395 square foot to 1,995 square foot. So Lennar's proposal is to build the 8 units versus the 6 at 1,459 square foot and 1,455 square foot. There are 3 bedrooms with a garage in each unit.
Okay, council have any questions? Councilman Lane?
I just have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
This looks like to me it's the very same footprint
It is the same footprint, ma'am.
as was approved,
It was.
Yeah, that's what.
and I have no problem with that.
Councilman Bowles?
Uh-huh.
So, I got a little bit of inside information because I was actually here on the planning board when we were talking about it. So basically, I know just for public's announcement there wouldn't be no cars parked on the streets because they have a garage and everything. So I think it's great. So glad to see them moving along with that. So, council, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the zoning request by Kings Crossing Properties LLC to increase from 66 to 80 units.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Denied? Okay. Thank you. Approved. Thank you. Okay, council number 6 will be rezoning request by High Meadow Lodge. I think, John, you've got this one.
I do. Thank you, sir. This is a rezoning request by High Meadow Lodge. This is a request to rezone R-184. This request is being made by High Meadow Lodge to rezone approximately 18.15 acres from R-20 low-density residential to conditional zoning residential multifamily apartments. The proposed ingress-egress of the property will be accessed off the corner block of Gulf Road. The tract is labeled O1, preserve the land, and G1, low-density growth area on our comp plan. And this area allows for very limited development, conservation or preservation in the O1, and in the G1, conservation, subdivision, and civic uses. This zoning request was found to be consistent with the city's 2035 comprehensive land plan. And I can go into some more depth on that. So the preserved lands calls for conservation, parks and greenways, limited agriculture and forestry, and water access areas. And what they're proposing is their apartments, their 45-unit apartment building, and around it, actually, they want to put it in an edible walking trail with blueberries and that type of stuff, so the residents can get out and walk around. So that falls into the preserved land category. And in the low-density growth area is primarily residential low density with small-scale multifamily, limited convenience retail uses, and civic uses. So this would fall into that category there, just being what it is as a senior living, 55 and up community. So this would be a conditional rezoning request for a 55-plus, 45-unit apartment building with an included restaurant for residents to use. As a condition of the rezoning, the restaurant would be open only to residents of the apartment building. Budgetary impacts, if developed, additional tap fees, inspection fees, tax base, and city and county services. Staff recommended approving R-184 as ordinance 2025-02. So, during the planning board meeting, we came up with conditions for this property. So I'll go through and read what we found. Everybody, you should all have a copy. Number 1, all required permits must be obtained from the city's inspections department and the city's fire inspections department prior to placing structures on the property. The developer shall have all required inspections done and approved prior to the issuance of all certificates of occupancy. Number 2, all costs and expenses associated with complying with these conditions shall be borne by the landowner, developer, with no expense being borne by the city or the county. Number 3,
Excuse me.
yep,
I don't have a copy of that. I don't.
Neither do we.
Yeah, we don't either.
I did it in your packets, the paper packets is in the back.
I'll look over with yours. Oh, there it is. Right there. Okay. We've got it. I'm sorry, we just,
We're good. I
Thank
got
you.
it. I got it here too. Thank you.
you want me to start from the top, sir?
No, just keep going.
no, I think you're fine.
So we're on 3.
Yes, sir.
Upon written request by the city, evidence of compliance with any of these conditions shall be provided to the city within 10 days after each request. The rules and regulations of the developer shall not be inconsistent with these conditions. Any conflict between said rules and regulations shall be resolved in favor of these conditions. Number 5, if any of these conditions, once met, are not continuously maintained, the permit may be revoked by the city council upon failure of the owner or the developer to cure the deficiency in any specific condition within 30 days after written notice to the owner, developer of the specific failed condition. Number 6, the restaurant must be accessible to residents and their guests only. Number 7, a turn lane off Gulf Road needs to be installed for safety and constructed to NCD unless NCDOT refuses the request. Number 8, a speed zone on Golf Road needs to be established to provide additional safety unless NCDOT refuses to allow it. Number 7 and 8 have disclaimers for NCDOT because that's an NCDOT road, so. Any other conditions that, you all would like to add, we can add this time.
Tell you what, I'm gonna open this up for public comment first. And, for the zoning of R18. And I've got Julie Farmer and Pam Tillman signed up first. And then Corey George. Told Corey if a fight breaks out, I'm gonna stand behind him.
Good evening, Mayor and council and staff. We thank you for letting us come and talk about this project. I'll speak first of all as the current landowner and the adjacent landowner and express my support of the project as those roles. We would like to tell you a little bit more about the project, and we've done our careers, Julie and I, taking care of folks in healthcare, and have a concern for the lack of this in-between area that we hope to fill, where people are not ready to go to even an assisted living or nursing home and just need a place to go when they're not able to maintain in their homes. So we hope to fill that need.
We'll have, I can't remember it's about 45 units exactly, and it will have a mixture of studio apartments, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units. They will have full kitchens, and the edible walking trail is something I can't wait to do down around the creek with Tommy Toe tomatoes and mint and blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, things like that that would make it really unique. We would also like to, of course, have housing for a guest house for the residents who come to live there, for their families to come and visit. With the expansion and the boom in King and the county itself, the whole county, not having an independent living, this is non-medical, they can have home health agencies come in and give them therapy or do wound care or regulate things like that. We won't be involved in that aspect. It will be $455 and older. The prices will range from $1,800 to $3,000 per unit, and they will get a lot of perks for that. One is as many meals as you want or as many as you don't. That would be something that each individual would decide. They also would have lots of recreation. That's going to be our focus, is definitely food and activities. I want to get these folks to the point where they're getting enough exercise. It might actually prevent people from having to be admitted to an assisted living. And then in addition to that, as Pam said, some that are older, that are in their homes, are fearful of falling. It will be staffed 24 hours a day. We will have call bells that they can push so that we can come and assist them and call 911. Again, we won't be medical, but we will be on site to provide that assistance as necessary. And we're just excited about the opportunity to be the first independent living for 55 and over in Stokes County. And an indoor pool is my hope. Yeah, so we can get them really exercising, doing some fun things like that.
All right. Thank you. Corey George.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Corey George, I'm at 108 South Davis Street in Pilot Mountain. I am the civil engineer working for Ms. Farmer and Ms. Tillman, and prepared the site plan that we submitted and the rendering that we have up here today, and just happy to take any questions anybody might have.
Okay. All right, I'll open it up for questions.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It sounds like an assisted living facility to me. I don't know how different it might be. Could you all explain that, maybe?
Defer.
We would not have licensed nurses or certified nursing assistants. on staff. It would not be that type of a community. You know, assisted living is typically only one room or a room where two people share. These are true apartments with 1 and 2 bedroom units as well as the studio, just to take into account the different levels of economic status in the community. And in addition to that, we found quite a few USDA grants that could offset those who may need financial assistance in moving into High Meadow Lodge. But there would be no nursing staff on.
But there will be caregivers for 24 hours, a person on site.
Security.
Just security?
On third shift, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. What was the planning board, oh, you gave us that, the planning board's recommendation. My other question is, has there been an environmental impact study done?
We've not had an environmental impact study, I guess, per se. We had a stream and wetlands investigation completed on site to reveal if there were any isolated wetlands or jurisdictional waters of the U.S. So we do have the stream on site, which is jurisdictional. There is floodplain associated with that, and so we are not going to be impacting the stream in no way, shape, or form. The only thing we're going to be providing in the vicinity is some walking trails. There's a little bit of floodplain on site, but we anticipate just going through the floodplain development process for that. There's going to be no development in what's called a non-encroachment or the floodway area, which is what typically would trigger from FEMA a flood study or a no-rise certificate.
Okay, I understand that. There's a pond on the site, and I know there are, did I not see there's a pond? Okay,
Maybe-
where are you gonna
Might be
have?
up this way a little bit further.
Yeah, I guess so. Are you gonna have a runoff plan, or is it going down into that stream?
So the runoff, we'll have some minimal storm drainage infrastructure. We're going to be a low-density project, which means less than 24%
Well,
built
isn't
on
it
area.
on a hill?
It will be on a hill, so we'll have some.
There's gonna be some runoff.
That's right. So we'll have some grading and we'll have some storm drainage infrastructure installed to take care of that. We have typically what's called like erosion control protection that's permanent at the end of the outfalls that transform stormwater flows into non-erosive velocities, and that way it'll then be discharged into the creek in the floodplain.
I would like to see an environmental impact study done and added to the conditions. I'd like to see that before I can vote on it. And I'd also like to see a traffic study done, because I know when you go out of there and to the left is a curve and a small bridge, and they'll be coming from West Stokes at a certain time of the day. To the right, there's a hill, and I'd like to get a traffic study done on that area, added to the conditions, but I would like to see those prior to approval. I don't know how y'all feel about that.
If it's any consolation, we will have to permit this entrance through DOT, and DOT will typically take into account site distances and stop and site distance, and site triangles, especially associated with new driveway connections to state-maintained roads.
You have any questions, sir?
Did you mention a house, an additional house for people to stay in?
No, an area where they could have family come and stay overnight. It would be one of the units.
Okay, it would be one of those units, okay. You mentioned a pool, would that be indoor, outdoor?
Indoor.
Does it change the size of that building at all, or do you feel like you could fit?
I don't think so. We'll be going up.
Okay. All right, and can you explain the restaurant? Is this not just basically a cafeteria?
Well, I guess you could look at it that way if you wanted to, but it's gonna be nicer than that. It'll be more of a fine dining. There will be a kitchen, of course, behind the scenes, but there'll also be an area where the individuals could come and do activities for cooking. There would be tables, of course, for folks to come in and to dine. We would have menus posted. And then again, they could buy, we just want to eat breakfast 7 days a week, or we want all 3 meals a day, or none. And that would all impact their cost per month.
And I'm assuming a facility like this would have some of the activities like our senior center would have, where you have game nights and activities and that sort of thing all involved in this process.
Absolutely. You know, memberships at the Y, but also bigger trips, because these are not infirmed or, assisted living level individuals. So we can do a whole lot of things that, go wide and far. Of course, we would have a bus or some type of multi-passenger vehicle. And we would try to get them as involved in the community first, and then outreach from there to things they might want to do. It'll be driven by them, a residence council, if you will. And they can decide what they'd like to do. And that would be really fun to get them involved and kind of directing their own days.
So this is maybe for that person who no longer wants to maintain their own property, but still wants independence in their living.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No grass mowing, no fear of falling and laying there till somebody comes around to see you. The grocery stores, everybody delivers now, so that's not as big an issue as it used to be for the elderly, meaning grocery stores and pharmacies. However, there are a lot of things that I think they like to do. For one, we were thinking about putting a beauty shop in, and that seemed too much assisted living to us, because a lot of them might want to keep their current hairdressers, and we would help them provide transportation for them to get to those appointments, keeping their life as normal as possible. I'm sure we'll have drop-offs for church. I'm sure some of them will drive, maintain their own vehicles there. And that's why the parking lot has to be, I think, 2.5 vehicles per unit is what's required.
We have 93 spaces, I think, shown.
That's what I was gonna ask, is how many parking spaces you would have for it. You mentioned a bus. Would that be a bus that you would own, or one that, like you charter, get somebody to do trips for them?
The one I was referring to would be a High Meadow Lodge bus, but we could also, of course, do charter buses as well. Because some of them, you've got general practitioner appointments, but some of them might, the Winston area, for your specialties, they might want transportation to those, and we would help them with that. The biggest thing that we'll have that most facilities, assisted living, skilled, as any of those buildings, we'll have a concierge who will be working with the residents, serving them. It'll be a service to them for all of the things that they might need or want.
I've noticed there's quite a few staff that are on duty 24/7 or within reason 24/7, either the security or concierge. That 1,800 to 3,000, is that just the rent? Is there any kind of a HOA fee or anything like that on top of the rent cost?
We've talked about doing their own electricity, their own meters for each unit. And in addition to that, of course, the food would be at their preference. That would be over and above the rent, if you will. Of course, they don't have to pay for parking. They won't have to, the rent is higher to account for the activities and the staff to maintain it, because it doesn't require the staff of an assisted living, but it'll have more staff than an apartment complex.
Now, you said something about you were going up. Are they one level?
No, we're looking at building 2 levels.
2-level
Yes.
apartments?
2 multi-story building. It would be one level.
And then there'll be a level on top of the first level?
Correct, yes.
But it will be, I'm thinking of somebody was in a wheelchair.
It will be handicap accessible. The apartments or the units themselves will not be multi-story.
Okay.
And we'll have elevators, of course, in there, and the stairwells, all the fire egress requirements that are on the books today, we would have in place.
So in addition to the rent, their food that you will have on site will be an additional charge for that?
Yes.
And then, what other additional charges?
Meters in their units, the electricity.
Electricity will
Yeah.
be additional charge?
Correct.
Water, sewer?
Water, sewer, we would probably just keep that because of the way it's all set up around here. It'd be easier if we just do that.
Any other questions?
How does, I know it's low density and obviously it's 45 units in a small footprint. How does that work with low density? Would that zoning, Mr. Grace?
So the low-density growth area, it allows for small-scale multifamily and limited convenience retail and civic uses. So the low-density residential is actually considered in neighborhoods. So I'll go through here. It includes area with limited access to water sewer infrastructure. However, these areas are adjacent to target growth areas such as municipal areas, county areas with water and sewer infrastructure, existing and planned rural neighborhood commercial nodes. In addition, poor wet soils that are not typically appropriate for development are included in this sector, which would be that property. So that affects how, because we can't put a neighborhood on that property just because of the soil conditions. So that has a lot to play on that. It has some of the things you can put in here. Let's see. Civic uses such as parks, schools, government uses, religious institutions. So you can have, just because it's low density doesn't mean you can't build anything there. And it actually says you can have multifamily in that. It's small multifamily, so it's kind of your interpretation of what small multifamily is. I think the intent of what they're going for, I think, is they don't want it to be built out. So a single building like this doesn't impact the grounds, and it's actually in our watershed, and they're not requesting a 1070 provision or anything like that to build upon anything more than the 24% they can build on. So it'll never get expanded over that 24%. So I don't, just for those reasons and the type of land that it is, it's not suitable for a whole lot of other uses than this. But
Just by definition, it seems like an apartment would be the worst case use for low density. I mean, that is the highest density possible.
And I agree, except that this says in here that it allows for multifamily, just low-density multifamily, which it doesn't really have a specific breakdown of that.
For clarification, when I said low density, I'm talking about stormwater requirements in relation to the watershed, which is the 24%.
Well, even within our 2035, it's considered low density as well.
Right.
So, I mean, something that concerns me with this for sure is that if we approve this, does the adjoining property, could that then be an apartment?
Well, the property that sits to the north of that property is multifamily. It sits to the northwest of that property, and I believe, it's on the map, but I didn't see it. So if you look at your big pull-out map here,
Mm-hmm.
right here, this section, this is the property here. This is apartments. So the precedent is almost already set because there is apartments right there. It is the track of the pond.
Where are we at? I'm sorry.
It's the blue area there.
Okay.
And that is residential multifamily apartments that are there right now, Cotton Top Lane.
Is that also a low density area as well on our comp plan?
It is a mixture of low density and preserved land. The pond falls into the preserved land category, and then where the apartments are is low density.
That's all my questions.
Okay. Yeah, my number one concern is when I looked on here and it was in the flood zone. And then it was also listed as floodplain. And then I know in that bottom particularly, we've had floods that go across Gulf Road. Especially the creek that comes down behind Country Place and it dumps out down there. I know several times we've had big rains that, not coming off of that hill, but you know, it's blocked that road several times. I'm sure the fire chief has been down there several times for water coming across there.
Yes, sir. you were at the planning board meeting when we talked about this, I believe.
I had to skip out because I had to go to a funeral.
So that was actually one of my questions to him, because you can see the floodplain line that comes up here, and it actually cuts across their parking lot, and I was like, well, that was the question that the planning board brought up, was, like, so they actually want to grade, so when they grade it, it'll actually drop that 100-year floodplain line down, so it won't be part of, it won't be in the parking lot, it'll be lower, so they're actually gonna change the 100-year floodplain there by grading, is their plan.
Yeah, I suspect our finished floor elevation will be several feet above base flood elevation.
Okay. Any other questions from council?
So this is a 55 and older community. If, let's say you have residents that still have children living at home, would they be, how does that, so this is strictly 55 and older?
Yes, sir, no children,
Okay,
no grown children.
okay.
No grown children.
And how, and this might be, I don't know if this is a question to ask here or later, but how do you anticipate on making sure that doesn't happen?
Well, they'll have an agreement with us up front, and of course, when people come to do a tour and check the place out, we will have a listing for them of the things that we can do and the things we cannot do. So they would know right up front. You know, it's just, kids to come visit, to sing Christmas songs or to do arts and crafts is one thing. Children running around where people, that they might trip and they'll fall and break a hip is not what we're looking for.
So I guess that's what entails it being from 1,800 to 3,000, depending on the amenities that they want to include in there.
Right. My in-laws just moved into a two-bedroom, independent living, and it is wonderful. They picked two bedrooms because he wanted an office. They've got friends and they sleep in separate bedrooms because of snoring, you know. So there's multi-reasons, but again, we'll have something for every budget as well, from the studio that has the kitchenette and it's more one room and a big bathroom and a big closet, to the one bedroom separate from your living, dining, kitchen, and then the two bedrooms with living, dining, kitchen.
Okay.
I think it would be a nice add to the Stokes County and the King area specifically. All these folks, the houses building up, what I've seen in my 36 years in long-term care is these families end up bringing their parents to where they live. And it would just slide right on in there, especially with us not currently having any independent living in King or Stokes County.
Okay. Any other questions, council? All right, I'll close this section of the public hearing, and then I'll open it up for, entertain a motion.
Well, I'll be glad to make a motion. I would like to see those two things happen before I could approve this, the environmental impact study and the traffic study. So I would suggest we postpone this to our next meeting in order to get those two things, which will be conditions added. And if there's any other conditions that y'all see.
No, I mean, I would agree with those for sure.
Councilman Bowles, do you have any other conditions?
I agree wholeheartedly with Ms. Cole.
So what I'm hearing is that we're going to postpone this with the conditions of adding an environmental impact and a traffic study. Is that correct?
Yes.
Environmental impact study and traffic.
Okay. So we made a motion, Council, Mayor Pro Tem, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, council. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, council, we're on number 7, which is a rezoning request for I-85. Let's see, let me get my reading glasses on here. For R-185 by Sam and Mildred Smith Living Trust. And I will open this up for public comment. 6:54. And no one signed up for public comment. We'll close that. And I think John has this one.
Yes, sir. This is a rezoning request by Sam and Mildred Smith Living Trust to rezone R185. This request is being made by Sam and Mildred Smith Living Trust to rezone 2 parcels containing approximately 4.54 acres from R15 medium density residential to B2 general business. The tract is labeled G2 controlled growth area on our comp plan and allows for single family, multifamily, and mixed use buildings. This would be a general rezoning request to allow for possible future commercial growth. The G2 growth sector is established to serve as a transition between higher intensity commercial uses and lower density neighborhoods and to take advantage of proximity to existing centers of commerce. This rezoning would encompass 2 adjoining parcels with an existing residential home with approximately 1.49 acres inside city limits and 3.05 acres outside city limits. This zoning request is consistent with the city's 2035 comprehensive land use plan. Budgetary impacts: if developed for commercial use in the future, additional tap fees, inspection fees, tax base, and city county services. Staff recommends approval of R185 as ordinance number 2025-03. The planning board reviewed this and voted unanimously to approve this as presented. This property is it's at 601 Kirby Road. It is right beside, what's the name of that? The bank. It's across
Insurance.
from
River Birch.
Farm Bureau.
Yeah, Farm Bureau. So it's over there by PB Clark's. If you look on the backside, you can see over in that area, you have light industrial, you have OI office space, you have B2, you have R15, and you got R20. There's everything on Kirby Road, so there's no reason not to rezone this to B2. And I think the way Kirby Road's gone, we don't want more residential stuff on Kirby Road anyways. If we can get some business on Kirby Road, it'll cut down some of the traffic, so I don't see a problem with it.
Council, any questions from council?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, is that part that is not in the city, is that in extraterritorial jurisdiction?
It is in the ETJ, ma'am.
It is?
It is in the ETJ.
Okay, and we can rezone in ETJ?
Yes, we can rezone it. So basically, when we rezone it, whenever they bring a business in, then when they ask for water and sewer, then we'll suck it into the city, and they'll have to be annexed. So we'll end up with this, but we can't force them to be annexed in order to be rezoned.
That's one of the donut holes that we have around town.
Yeah, so we can finally get it back into the city at some point. This is the way it's gonna happen.
So we can rezone in ETJ?
Yes, yes, you can.
Okay, I
Yes,
just
you
want to
can.
make sure that, hear both of you say that,
All right.
because I've
That
had some
was-
people ask me, and,
That was my question too.
okay.
There's no police power, but zoning, yes.
Yeah, the ETJ set up just so we can rezone it. So it fits in with the city's growth. So that's the whole purpose of the ETJ.
Okay, I wanted to make completely sure of that.
All the problems are secondary.
No other questions?
Okay, Councilman Lane?
This very much fits the general use of the neighborhood there, so yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Councilman Bowles? You good with that? Which part is in the city? The front part? Part
Yes,
that comes
sir.
out into the road?
Yes, sir.
If you look at that blue line on the map, everything to the east, that's just a donut hole.
That's beyond me how
That's
the city can
amazing.
be all the way
And
around
annex-
it, and you got one
Just
place
had
in this
annexes
county.
all around it and left it out.
How in the world did that happen? I don't know. This
Wow.
amazes me.
Funny stuff.
So the planning board thought this was a good idea.
Yes, sir.
They went along with it, okay. I didn't see any remarks from the planning board on this, so,
Yeah, I want to bring up one question. The planning board met on this Monday.
Last week, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, if we could get their response in our packet, that would be great.
All right.
I would appreciate it.
Yeah, I just gave it to the mayor. It's in his official signature one, so I'll put
Okay.
that in your packet from now on.
Okay, thank you.
A little problem I have is they'll have the planning board meeting on a Monday before our meeting, and then sometimes we don't get, like the one down on Gulf Road, I had the weekend to try to get down there and look at that, to see where it was at and all of that.
Yeah, it gets real tight when they're back to back like that. I like when there's a little bit of when we get the odd days, and it throws it out, but
Yeah.
it's tight.
We might have to look at that, because if that presents a problem, we may have to put it off another month, so we'll have time to really consider what's going on there, so. Okay, council, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the rezoning request R185, Sam and Mildred Smith Living Trust.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. All right, number 8 is the Downtown Strategic Economic Development Plan. And I noticed Dane was here tonight, and did y'all have a presentation you wanted to give on this? All right, and I think, Nicole, you gonna do this? All Michael. All right. Councilman Lane, it's up to you, buddy.
Do I need to read all of these?
Yes.
I just did the little sheet for you.
All right, this,
I think it's pretty much ready to go.
yeah, this, just,
It's just got a lot of history in it,
Yeah, it's just got some, I think it's just really.
And I've approved the memorandum.
and it's been approved by everyone.
yeah, so we've gone through, worked with Lizzie as well as, our friends at the Downtown Partnership, back and forth to make sure we understand the memorandum. We've worked through our legal counsel on this. And this is a really big deal for our city because it allows us to, on a downtown level, partner with the state for possible grants, recommendations, and also hopefully save our staff some work because it puts some of that workload on the state staff. So this is a really big deal for our city moving forward, and continues the growth of downtown that we've seen in the past year, allows it maybe to even accelerate a little bit more. So this is something I'm really excited about.
Okay. Any questions, council?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
So, is social districting not included in this plan?
It'll be part of the conversation.
It's part of the conversation.
With Lizzie and that group.
Oh, but it's not-
Something they do to kind of help us work through all the legalities and those kind of things associated with a social district.
Okay,
Be part of the strategic planning process.
Right.
okay, okay, okay.
When we thought about that, doing it, we thought about doing it for Oktoberfest
Yes.
last year, but then we got to think about, all right, legal liabilities and
Right,
insurance and
right.
all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So, maybe we need to
Okay,
back off a little bit, and that's something she's well versed in.
okay, yes, 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 okay. That's all.
Okay.
I have.
I did notice on the budget impact, it said these fees be nominal or may be waived. And I know I had in my notes last month that Mr. Dane said that they will be waived. Is that
If
correct?
she had told us that because of her location where she's at, that they would waive those fees. It's travel fees, and so there would be no travel fees.
We
The
might want-
memorandum says it would be of no cost to the city.
No cost to the city. You can't beat that, can you? Okay, I'll entertain a motion, council.
I move for approval of the resolution requesting the services of NC Main Street and Rural Planning Center Rural Planning Program to assist the development of a downtown strategic economic development plan for the city of King, North Carolina.
Second?
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council.
Thank you all for your work on this.
Thank you for your work on it.
Thank you.
Just beginning.
Good job. Okay, number 9 is consideration of budget amendment 2024-0403. And I think Ms. O'Brien has this. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
All right, Mayor and Council, this budget amendment first transfers some unused paving funds of $17,500 from streets to public works for some needed fuel facility repairs. And it also transfers $908 from contingency to debt service for the police department vehicles that we talked about in a previous month when we had to redo the loan on that. It also adds $4,124 and $1,398 for insurance claims to police and fire respectively, and those are offset with revenues. The amendment also adds $24,428 to fire and to revenue for firefighter relief funds. Finally, the amendment adds $20,000 to fire department for additional funds needed to complete the storage building that was approved in this year's budget. Fire is requesting to use this amount from the 1 cent fund. So the only true budgetary impact is the reduction of that 1 cent fund by $20,000. Everything else is offset with revenues or other department transfers.
Okay, council, have any questions? Councilman Lane, I'll open it up to you first, if you like.
On the 1 cent fund, what is that typically used for?
It's used for a variety of things. It does have to be used for fire service or anything involving the fire department due to the funds are collected through the fire tax. So it was really no restrictions other than that, and it's probably been 10 years more. We were given a tax increase, and the council at that time elected to put that fund aside and let it be set aside for special projects or certain things that would come up in the year. Currently, it's at like $508,000.
Okay. That's my only question.
And we haven't put this current year's 1 cent value in that. So it would be, at June 30th, it'll be 508 plus the current year's.
What does that typically look like? I know that's the,
75-ish thousand.
okay.
Yeah, it's slowly goes up, but yeah, probably 75 to 80 this year.
Wow.
So you do recommend the use in this way?
Yeah, I do
Okay.
think it fits it, it fits the request.
Okay.
This is, just to backtrack a second, it is probably about 9 months ago, we were awarded that state grant from then Senator Crockett.
Yeah.
And we were using it for the accessory building. Prices, when we got it then, obviously have come up some. Mainly it's in the electrical work and the garage door work. The garage doors themselves has seen an influx in pricing, so that's, there's been minimal pricing also with the whole project, but the two largest increases were electrical and the garage doors.
Okay. Any questions?
No more.
Councilman Bowe? Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve budget amendment 2024-04.03.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you. Okay, council, we're on to number 10, which is vehicle trade acquisitions for the PD Drug Task Force. And I think Assistant Chief Tedder has this one.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. What you have is a proposal there before you for us to trade 3 vehicles we've been using for quite some time for undercover operations, specialized operations, for a newer used vehicle for the Drug Task Force. Typically, we use these vehicles for quite some time, and after a while, as the mission changes, as focuses on investigations changes, we have to change vehicles, really to maintain that safety for our undercover officers and those conducting surveillance. So these vehicles have been utilized now for several years, and they've kind of run their course, so to speak. They're still in good condition. With that, we're able to make a trade, and they've got some value on them. This will not impact the budget in any way. If we have to put money with this, we'll use our drug forfeiture funds for that purpose. Actually, this will also benefit in a way that we'll be reducing our fleet, 2 vehicles, so 2 vehicles will be coming off of insurance, which should be a savings for us, correct?
It'll be signed.
Okay, I'll open it up for questions. Start with Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't have any right now.
Okay, Councilman Bowe.
Of course, safety is a major concern. We want to keep our officers safe. With the vehicles here, what is the potential replacement vehicle, and would that suffice the needs for the foreseeable future? Will we have a need for 3 vehicles, I guess is my main question.
I don't foresee a need for these other vehicles. As I said, we've used them. They've kind of run their course, so to speak. We do have other vehicles in the fleet that we have since acquired through drug seizures. But with that, we're limited again. So we want to reduce that. As far as a vehicle to replace it, I'd rather not divulge that information in a public setting, obviously. But it will be a vehicle that is used and would be of good use for our undercover operations or anything like that. It will be something to blend into the setting that we're operating in, if that makes sense.
I'm assuming the safety factor is just recognizability of these vehicles, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed in your wording here, it says exposure history. So, I get used to seeing a certain vehicle, then I look for that vehicle. So, Mayor Pro Tem, you have any questions at this point?
So, you only be getting one vehicle
Yes.
for this now. Is that all you need?
Yes, at this time, we don't foresee needing anything else. You know, with the accumulation of these vehicles, it's just been over time that these vehicles are acquired through a drug seizure. We cannot technically do anything with them except for sell them or trade them for equipment such as this. So if we keep it, it's just something hanging out there that we necessarily won't use. So we found a purpose for them. If we sell them, that money has to go to the school fund. So that's dictated by law of what we can do with these vehicles. So with this, it keeps the asset and the value with the department as awarded by the courts.
So, for instance, the vehicle that has 30,000 miles on it, if you had it painted, would that make any difference?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm just,
Yeah,
I wonder.
You know, it's not just vehicle color, it's vehicle type.
They know.
Yeah. We kind of have to get a vehicle too to fit our undercover officer. So, you know, it's just how the game works.
Right.
You don't want a 24-year-old rolling up with a minivan.
Oh, why not?
Fine, if you got undercovers 35, you know, possibly you got kids or something, but, you know, you gotta meet that criteria.
The word gets out.
And, you know, the narcotics people, it does get around. They
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
Sure.
And, you know,
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. Word gets around. If you burn these vehicles, they've got to be put on. That's just like having to combat drugs.
Councilman Lane?
So basically, if I'm understanding you right, then the only thing we could do with these 3 vehicles is use them or trade them in if we are going to keep the value of these vehicles.
That is correct. We can't transfer them to any other department to use. I mean, it was a court order issued by a judge of what we're able to do with these vehicles.
Because all of these vehicles were confiscated.
2 of those
somehow.
vehicles were specifically. The Nissan, I think, was purchased with some drug forfeiture funds, but
Okay.
it was not an actual
Forfeiture-
seizure.
Forfeiture
funds, yes.
Okay.
Is that the same situation? If it's sold, though, that money has to go to the school?
That I'm not 100% sure of.
No, that's a city vehicle.
Which one is that now?
The Nissan.
Altima.
The other 2, anytime it's state court, they know that it has, anytime it's sold, it has to go to the school check. No, even if they issue it to us for training purposes or seizure, course, or we can use it to trade towards something else for that course. But if it's physically sold, that money has to go to the school system.
Okay, I understand that.
So with the situation of, what these are used for most of the time, I've said 3-for-1 trade knocks down what we have available, although you mentioned there is an inventory of vehicles. I mean, would there, I'm trying to think how to word this. How do we know, I guess, that we're not, gonna take this newer vehicle and then need to trade it in a year? I mean, is that?
I don't foresee that happening. I don't know.
Did I word that right? I mean, is that?
I see what you're asking, but either way, those other vehicles are still no longer of use to our mission. So it's sort of like having, you decided to keep your vehicle, your extra vehicle around for a while, and it just sits there. So we just don't have a purpose for it, and they've just run their course. It's time to, but we still have value on them, so we want to take advantage of that value that we have to get something that's useful for the department, if that makes sense.
And to answer your question, that is a possibility, that, something can happen or a certain, job done that, I mean, if it's-
Marks that car.
it's a possibility. If you do something major and you got the news out there, and then all of a sudden there's that car involved in something that was during
Black Toyota Tacoma.
operation, well, it's on the news, so there's a good possibility that can happen.
No guarantee.
The good thing is we're working with a dealer that works with other agencies in the area for the same purpose. So with that being in mind, if we're consistently working with that particular dealer, they know kind of what we're looking for in terms of vehicle quality, condition, that sort of thing. And again, if we come back to them year, 2, 3 years down the road and say, hey, we need to do this trade again, they kind of know what to expect and they know the history of that vehicle.
Can these vehicles be sold to civilians, or do they have to be sold to another?
Through the dealer, if we trade them, the dealer can buy them, but the drug seized vehicles, if they're sold, the money has to go to the school fund. It does not come back to the city. The only way to
Originally
utilize
sold.
the asset is to trade them.
So the other two vehicles, aside from the Nissan, are the ones that are required to be sold to purchase something
Yes, sir.
else? Okay. Well, I have a thought.
Yes, sir.
If I'd like to see us keep at least one extra vehicle. I don't know that it would ever be needed, but I think it would be wise to have more than one in this situation. So I suggest selling the other two. I looked up the values. I'm a car dealer, if nobody knew that, but I looked up the values. The 16s around 12 to 13,000, the 2003 Tundras between 10 and 12,000, and so I would imagine that you could get something quite decent with those two. But that is my suggestion.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
How many other cars do you have in the fleet? I know we're pointing out 3.
For,
For that,
as
for
in,
the purpose
for the
these are-
undercover of this,
Yes, sir, the purpose that these 3 are being used for.
we have 2 others.
You have 2 others in the
Mhm.
fleet. So if you get rid of these 3, you still have 3 in the fleet.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, this will be a sufficient amount for us to maintain.
Okay.
I'd like to, the reason why we're trading all 3 cars is not to come for you guys to ask money. We're taking this
Right.
thing, minus that one car, that's additional money that has to come from somewhere.
Right.
And I don't know what the total is in the drug forfeiture fund.
It's around 22.
But if you take away that one trade, and that we might not have, we might have to come, ask it. That's the purpose of being part of that task force, is it's self-operating. We'd love to hang on to every car we got, but at some point, the value goes down, the more we hang on to it, the less money we get, the more money I'm gonna have to come to the city and ask for a replacement. Where if we don't, and we're able to add these figures up and come up with whatever money, that's what that drug forfeiture money's for, and that's the reason why we see, these collective vehicles, is not to have his everyday car. You know, it's
Right.
not, that's his everyday car that he will be driving back and forth to work.
Right.
You know, do we wanna trade two cars and give him, you know, those two, I don't know what they bring, but if they bring 10,000, just understand that car is what that officer drives every day.
You know, I think it's also important too to point out that when we keep a vehicle like this Nissan, it's not designed for police duty. So you can't really use it for patrol. You can't use it for. So again, what we've used this vehicle for up until this point, it's again reached, I guess, its mission, purpose, reason why we kept it. So, but at this point, it's just a car sitting back there in the lot that a patrol officer can't jump in and use it for liability reasons. So, you know, again, we're approaching this to use the value of these vehicles now that are most advantageous to the department.
I think one reason council had questions on this is because we weren't aware that if you sold them, the money went to the school instead of back to the force. I mean, that's where I'm coming from. When I look at a car that's got 30,000 miles on it here that we possibly could use to replace a Crown Vic that's sitting back here that we've been used forever, you know, that's the reason council, I think, is questioning this, is, you know, we weren't aware that it had to be used for that. So,
Yeah, that's court order from the,
Yeah.
you know, with the judge's signature, so I.
Right. And then, of course, we look at, I didn't know how many you had in the fleet's the reason I was asking, because if you get rid of 3 and you get 1, then are you gonna come at budget and ask for 2 more cars?
No, that's why
You
we're
know.
doing this now.
Right, I understand. And then when I looked it up too, I looked up fair market value of these 3 vehicles. I looked at probably around $30,000 possibly. So, and then if you're gonna trade 3 to get a used vehicle, of course, you know what you need. I'm not gonna say what you need or what you don't, but I'm glad we had questions. That's how we get to the bottom of what we need it for.
Yeah, and I understand the values. You know, we have to go by what the dealer has to say and that sort
Right.
of thing, and I hope we get that much out of them, but,
That'd be if you sold it private party, but.
if sold them as a private party. Okay. All right, now we're getting somewhere.
All right, any other questions?
I have one more question.
Yes,
It's not really related to this, but I just want to make sure, do y'all have all the vehicles you've ordered?
Yes, we do. We have them all we
do.
ordered. We
That's
also have them
awesome.
all on the road, so all of them been upfitted, so we're actually in a better situation than we have been in years past as far as getting what we've ordered.
Okay,
So
good,
that's a
good.
change of vendor,
Oh,
so.
okay,
Change of type of vehicle too, right?
that's awesome.
Been on-
Yeah, somewhat.
Been on the upfit side, not the vehicle.
Yeah, not the vehicle side.
It's been
Oh, the upfit
equipment.
side,
It's been on, not good.
in a Bayer, yeah. I'm good, I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, council, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the trade of 3 vehicles for a newer used drug task force vehicle.
Okay, now here's a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, departmental reports. Council have any questions or concerns about the departmental reports that they would like to address?
I have a question on these.
Yes, sir.
The one that sort of seems to be of interest a lot just with our growth is the planning department. There's always the numbers that we see as far as how many permits have been issued and those sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
But within that is the construction value.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think that doesn't directly equate to tax revenue, right? I mean, or does it?
So that's what they say, the value of what they spent to
Page
build the
68,
house
if you-
is the construction value, like,
I was trying to
so
do 'em all.
it's not a direct correlation. I'm sure if you did the numbers, that you could figure out some type of correlation in there, there'd be something that'd be close. We have not done that, just because we didn't care. but it's a great big number.
Yeah. I mean,
Real big number.
I mean, just since July, just so everybody understands, this 30,400,000 construction value has been completed in King, so that's a really big deal.
That is.
That's a lot, so,
That's showing 72 new homes.
yes.
That's just the tip of the iceberg,
Exactly.
what's
sir.
coming.
Oh, it's here.
And does that, I mean, does that include any of the Preston Oaks or any of those?
The ones that are under construction, yes.
Okay.
So as soon as they pay for the permit, then it makes it on this list. But if they pay, so if they pulled the permit, but they didn't pay for it until the first, then it'd be on the next month. Because, so some of the numbers, like anything that got paid for today, is going on the next month, so it's not on here yet. The receipt total is just what we've brought in as a city. So those numbers have had a drastic difference since we made the changes last year.
You've been busy, for sure.
It's always busy.
Yes, sir. Any other questions from council? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to acknowledge receipt of the departmental report.
I make a motion, we acknowledge receipt of the departmental report.
I entertain a second.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you, council. Next on the agenda is something that I'd asked for last month. Our council members and myself all are on different boards for the city. Councilman Bowles is on the Transportation Board Advisory Committee. Mayor Pro Tem is on Piedmont Triad Regional Council. I'm on the Hospital Board. Councilwoman Fowler is on the Tourism Board, and she's not going to be here today, so I'm going to ask her to do that next month. And then Councilman Lane is on the King Economic Development Committee. So I'll start with you, Councilman Lane.
All right, several things we've been able to work through. One was we were able to work through and help with this deal that was completed with Reaper and Duggins. That was a big deal to bring as many as maybe 100 jobs to King in the next 5 years or so. Also, was very pleased to see the rezoning of the property on Newsom Road to go from residential back to light industrial. Is industrial growth is a big thing that we want to see and maybe slow down some of this home growth a little bit. Another thing that we've seen as a key point is to increase our efficiency. So economic development is not necessarily just bringing a business here, but making it easier for a business to come here. And one thing that came out of our Economic Development Committee that has been instituted in our city is our monthly, I think they're Friday meetings once a month, right? Where, you know, if you are wanting to bring a business to King or something to here for economic purposes, rather than having to meet with the fire department here and the planning department here and DOT here, they all come together and streamline that process. So that makes it much smoother. Again, just to cut a little bit of red tape. That's always a good thing, and to make things more efficient there. We've also been working with our county economic director, Tory Mabe, and he regularly receives requests for economic possibilities. So, you know, Company X wants to build, and they want 40,000 square feet and 20-foot high ceilings within so many miles of the interstate and that sort of thing. So he's working with us to compile a list of those requests that he receives, so that, you know, for example, the business park that was rezoned a couple months ago on Newsom Road, if they decide they want to start building spec buildings, we can then provide them real data that we've been approached with, so that they have an understanding of maybe what they would need in a spec building if they were going to build that in advance. So we've been busy trying to get things rolling and allow for economic growth.
Sounds great. Councilman Bowles on the Transportation Board Advisory.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so, over the past year, we met with the Transportation Advisory Committee. It's a part of a larger one that's centralized in Winston and kind of spreads out to all the areas surrounding Winston. And so right now there's about $15 million on the table of potential money to acquire just through, it's a needs-based system, and so we're really, I've been focusing on getting some infrastructure stuff such as some sidewalks and crosswalks to make our downtown more accessible, more walkable, working on just road safety enhancement just all around. It's just something that'll make our downtown in particular safer now that we have two new wonderful restaurants downtown, some bakeries, and just make King just safer. And so making quite a bit of progress now, and continuing to do so. I've got a meeting coming up in next week, so it's just really it's going well.
Thank you.
Can I add to that?
Yes,
For
sir.
him? I believe it was also your time on the committee that has begun to provide funding for connecting downtown to the rest of the King with sidewalks as well, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's a big deal that you brought to the table on that.
Yeah, from my understanding, they're gonna go from town all the way to Walgreens, and then from Walgreens all the way out to Christian Village with sidewalks eventually go off. And all that is from the Transportation Board Advisory Committee, which Councilman Lane served on it, and then now Councilman Bowles is serving on it. So that's gonna bring some great things for us for downtown King, well, all the way out the road for a lot of residents. Make it safer also. So, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, I sit on the Piedmont Tri-Council of Governments, which includes about 12 counties and 66 cities and towns. This year in 23-24, or this past year, together we've served 500 seniors, 1,660 former offenders, 775 low-income housing residents, 250 households with home repairs and weatherization, 7,228 career seekers, 2,721 businesses, 78 member governments, 24 members with planning services, and 53 local governments with paid classification management services. 28 members with stormwater outreach. I'm hoping that at some point this will help us with our stormwater outreach and the stormwater services in King. And I have talked to the people on the staff about that, and we hope that's going to happen. The program highlights this past year was $3 million grant for food enterprise financing. Regional grants received $750,000 for youth substance abuse, $800,000 for digital equality, $245,000 for internet connectivity, $2 million for brownfield site studies, $500,000 for safe streets, and $50,000 for trail guides. We have other regional-wide drug testing and employee assistance program, as well as synopsis for affordable housing and for disaster planning, which has really been a help to the western part of North Carolina. I'm going to give my fellow members, council members, a copy of what they have done for King specifically, and you'll see that what we pay in dues, what they have done for us outweighs what we pay in dues. I think this is a real good summary of what they've done, what we've done, and I sit on that executive committee as well as the committee, the regular committee. So you can review that. I won't take up any more time to review that, but also I serve on the League of Municipalities Legislative Policy Committee, and I've had a lot of Zoom calls on that and meetings, and we came up with 10 legislative initiatives that we have this year for the people on the league staff to lobbied the legislators for. I'm only going to give you the top 3 that we're lobbying for this year, and that's create an adequate and permanent funding stream for infrastructure, including roads, water, sewer, stormwater, parks, and beaches is critical for economic development and job creation. So hopefully we might be able to see some of that money. Many cities in the state are growing, that's us, creating a constant need for investment to keep pace with population growth. Many cities and towns also have aging infrastructure that must be replaced. That's us too. So we're hoping to get some recognition on some of these. Creating more permanent funding streams for local infrastructure such as dedicated tax source would allow for better planning to meet roads and other needs. And the next one is the second initiative, expand state transportation funding streams for construction and maintenance for municipal and state-owned secondary roads. That wouldn't hurt for us to get some of that money as well. We're a member, so we're eligible to get some of that. The current power bill and other state funding is not adequate to address transportation needs, particularly as they affect municipal and state-owned secondary roads. And in many cities and towns, major commuting corridors are not receiving the level of investment needed to keep pace with the traffic. And that's one thing that I'm very interested in is our traffic flow here in King. I think we need to probably do more. And at the last meeting, I asked for the manager, and he's done that, to check with our state people, our DOT, and see if they could come and do a traffic study for King, because we have lots of backups now in various places. And I think that's been done, and we're going to look forward to seeing what they come back with. And then the last initiative that I'll share with you, I don't want to belabor this, is allow municipalities to use local resources and capabilities to expand broadband access to their communities through innovative partnerships. So I've enjoyed being on this committee, and I'm appointed by the president of the North Carolina League to this committee. And I'm not sure that it's the first time King has been represented, and it's my honor to be serving. Thank you.
We're honored to have you there too. So, well, I serve on the hospital board, and I know that's been a big issue over in Danbury. And I got with Commissioner Morris. I was hoping he could come tonight and give you an update, but he sent me something here. So since I serve on the Hospital Advisory Board, I wanted to provide a short update on the county's transition process to Novant. Because the county commissioners and others who are directly participating in this process are subject to a strict non-disclosure agreement, very little information can be provided to the public until later in the process. Because of the keen interest in this transition, Commissioner Morris made the following statement at Monday's County Commissioners meeting, and I'll quote Commissioner Morris' public statement. It said, "I'd like to provide a quick update on the hospital transportation process since our commissioners are receiving lots of requests on the progress being made. Though we are dealing with a complex transition procedure with numerous complicated transactions, that process continues to move forward in accordance to the requirements by the NC General Statute. Our public comments on the process are limited because we are under a tight non-disclosure agreement due to the sensitivity of the transition disclosure. At this appropriate time, the commissioners will not be providing additional detailed information on the transition progress with Novant." So basically, we don't know anything. I'm on that board, and they've not had any meetings in probably 8 months for the board itself. So they've been meeting with Novant. So as soon as I get other progress on it, I'll be making another report on that. So hope I didn't bore you with that. But again, I'm sorry that Councilwoman Fowler could not be here. She represents us on the Tourism Development Authority, and She does a great job. So the main reason I wanted all of them to give a report is because it's been a year since most of us have been on those committees, and you've not heard anything. So I wanted everybody just to give us an update, synopsis of what's going on. And as you can see, council is not just sitting around doing nothing and just come here once a month for a council meeting. They're busy, they're working for the citizens, and I'm proud to serve as mayor of the city of King, and I'm proud of all our council members, because they all do a good job, they work hard for the citizens, and of course, that's what we were elected for. We don't work for ourselves, we work for you, and we do appreciate each and every one of you. So, thank you for coming. So at this time, I will open it up for items of general concern.
No, I just want to follow up on that traffic study
The one from last month,
for the city of King, yes.
I sent a request into DOT and he
Yeah.
has assigned it to two people, but we've got nothing back from him. He's assigned it to two engineers, the 4 projects that we sent in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Lane.
My question was actually along those lines as well. I know I'd been in a little bit of communication with them about this Dalton Main Street intersection, but I think that was sort of absorbed into that,
Yes.
so that it'll all be handled at one time, so.
Okay. Back to Councilman Bowles, did you think of anything?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming. When I look out, most of the city's employees, everybody's over here, and citizens are over here, so I might start assigning seats. No, not really, not really. But, you know, our employees do a great job, and I know they hear it each month. They think it's just lip service, but each and every department do a great job. And I'm just so proud of our city of King, proud to serve here, and I won't belabor the point, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Good